So let's just talk a little bit. I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with this stuff, but just to recap why VR is such a demanding kind of problem for rendering performance. First of all, you've got the issue of latency. Not only do we need to hit a very high frame rate, 75 hertz on DK2 or 90 hertz on the Crescent Bay, but we also need to do it while maintaining very low latency. That being the amount of time between an input event, such as when you're moving your head and when you see the result of that show up on your display. So, Mike Abrash, who we were just watching on the screen a few minutes ago, he did some research on this, and his results are showing that the motion to photons latency should be at most 20 milliseconds to ensure that the experience is as comfortable as possible for everyone. So, Oculus has invented this thing called timewarp, which is a pretty cool idea. The idea is that you render an image, right, and you rendered it with some particular head orientation, but by the time you're going to scan it out to the display, that head orientation is old now. It's like 30 milliseconds old. But what you can do that's pretty clever is you can just without completely re-rendering the frame, you can just shift the image in 2D. Basically, move the image around and rotate it to sort of compensate for late changes in head orientation. So on this slide, you kind of have the white view frustum there is where the frame was originally rendered, and then during the time when it was being rendered, you moved your head, and now you're looking at the blue frustum. So the whole idea of asynchronous time warp is to decouple the time warp from the app's main rendering. It's a little bit like running a separate process on the GPU alongside the main rendering of the application. It wakes up and runs right before every vsync, regardless of whatever else is going on with the system. So even if the app takes a little bit longer to render a frame, it's still not done yet. You can still perform time warp and use the previous frame with a new head orientation, so you at least get the update to the head orientation, even if the app is not perfectly running all the time at 90 hertz.
Yeah, everyone can hit F to show your love. Okay, so if you have a question for Nathan, go ahead and just line up on me, kind of going up the hill, and whoever wants to come up first can be in line. Do you have a question, Thomas?
Yeah, I do. You mentioned that you can achieve sub-millisecond latency with rolling shutter, but Oculus decided to go not with the rolling shutter, but with the full-frame shutter. Do you know why they chose to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not completely sure, but I think like the basic reason is that, with a rolling shutter, you get different latency in different parts of the visual field. And I think like they really want consistent latency. Like they, based on their experiments, they think that's more important. With a global shutter, you get like the same latency for the entire frame because it's all turned on at once.